Hello, I'm Augie and this is Meg, and as you can tell, I'm doing a voiceover of this pre-recorded workout due to copyright infringements of music that we had played when we originally recorded it and YouTube blocked it. We wanted to make sure that this workout got out there to people, so I'm redoing it with a voiceover. So it may be a little off in terms of timing, but essentially what I'm doing right now is explaining that we are going to be doing a dumbbell workout. We're going to start off with DAMP, which stands for Dynamic Activation Movement Prep. Other people know it as warm up. And we are going to use two different types of dumbbells, or you can use the same dumbbells throughout this workout. Let's just make sure that you're medically cleared by all necessary medical professionals. And this is a collaboration between Meghan and her studio, Flow Lab in Portland, Oregon, and Training to be Balanced. So here we go. Okay, let's begin. What we're going to start off here is, again, damp. Meg's going to have a side profile, and I'm going to have a front profile, so it gives you a better angle of what you can see. And also, you'll notice that it's either hopping 2 feet, alternate feet, or if your knees can't handle it, you just march in place. We're trying to turn on the muscles, getting them prepared for movement. And also, when we start to get into repetitions, just figure that you're going to do a total of 5 on each side. So the next thing we're going to do is what we call elephant, and you're brushing your fingertips across the floor, and you're trying to rotate to your upper back or your thoracic with a little give in the knee. You can see there's some give in the knee, and it allows you to kind of swing the arms like a golf swing. And you're controlling it about 10%, and just to get a good rotation, get the body prepared for movement. The next exercise is what I call a rotation reach. You're going to rotate with both arms, and then you're going to extend one arm out and further reach. And you can pivot, as you can see here. You can pivot with the rear foot, or you can choose to stay at stationary, like Meg is doing, so we get a little bit more of the upper back. And again, the idea here is kind of 5 and 5 on each side to get that body moving, get it ready, prepared for movement. And I won't do necessarily all of the reps here in the first round. The next one we're going to do is what is called an air guitar. We're kind of a stagger stance or a lunge, and we're going to start with going backwards, and you're letting that arm fly. And then you rotate directions. And you can see there's a little give in both of our knees and our ankles a little bit. You're kind of throwing that in there too at the same time. You're letting that fly, getting that shoulder to turn on and making sure those muscles are out, and we're turning on the nervous system to help too at the same time. So go ahead and start your air guitar here. And if you want to play music to it as well, by all means, you'll help in terms of getting you a good swing going forward and back. And again, it's typically 5 in each direction when we start doing the numbers for it. But it's, as long as if you want to do more, awesome. I would say not less, but just a little bit more. And then the last one of our damp is going to be what we call downward dog scorpion. We're going to reach up over with the opposite foot, and you're going to do your best to try to keep that ground foot and the heel on the ground as you reach up and over. Make sure that there's energy through the feet, both feet, during each movement. Trying to sink your chest as well into the ground. Sorry, not into the ground, but sinking your chest as your hands are into the floor at the same time. Open up that hip, and you'll be ready to go. So now we'll do 2 more rounds of those, and watch a little bit in here, both the front profile as well as the side profile, and here we go. All right, now we're ready for the bulk of our workout. Now it's going to consist of dumbbells. If you have two sets to your availability, a light and a heavier one would be great. Meg and I are going to use one weight amount for the entire exercise. It's going to be 4 rounds. And remember, it's 5 on each side or a total of 10. So if it's alternating, then it'll be 5 each side. If it's total, then it'll be 10. Make sure to pace yourself. We want to make sure that you look the same way as you finish and continue to go through. A little bit of break in between, but again, form is important. The way you start is the way you want to finish. So anybody watching you, they should see the same movement and say, are you finishing your workout or not? So we're going to begin here with a dumbbell plank. Hips are up nice and high. You're taking small little steps with your feet and your hands forward. And again, 5 on each side. You're doing your best to try to keep energy through the hands and thus keeping your upper back straight. The next one is what we call a horse stance drop. And our elbows are going to be at about same level as our shoulders. You're a wide stance as well. You're going to squat and then you're going to drop one dumbbell between the feet. Now, when we're doing this, it's important that you do try to keep that elbow up to the same level as the shoulder and shifting your weight back onto your heels. So when you come up, you're using the glutes and the hamstrings. When we drop that dumbbell between our feet, make sure that the other hand and elbow do not drop. Next exercise is going to be plank row. So we're back into a high plank. And we're in place, and all we're going to do is row to the side of your hips or the ribs, preferably the side of the hips. And when we do this, we're going to do very little to try to shift left or right. Now, you can shift left or right, but make sure that you're not shifting independently, meaning like the back is the only thing that's shifting or the upper back. You don't want to twist. Shifting is acceptable, but we want to try to reduce it as best as possible. The next exercise is going to be SOPs or squat overhead press. Dumbbells are set about shoulder level. Feet are about enough for a nice little squat. And what we're going to do is squat everything down and then everything up. And the goal to this is that the arms stop when the legs stop. So the hands got to move just a little bit faster. When the dumbbells come down to the shoulders, that's a reset, and then we start again as we push up. And again, pushing the floor away and shifting your weight slightly back onto the heels. That will ensure that you're getting more bang for your buck. And that's what we're trying to achieve here. Okay? And again, using your upper back, making sure that everything moves together and that everything ends together. The next exercise is going to be a reverse lunge fly. So as I reverse lunge, I'm bringing up the dumbbells to the height of my shoulders. Now, it's okay for you to bend the elbows. The only thing that is important that we want to make sure is that the elbows are on the same line as the shoulders. That's very, very important. And then when we set back with the reverse lunge, we're using that front glute and hamstring to bring ourselves up. Once again, using more of the body, more bang for your buck, if you will. All right, the next exercise is going to be a lunge runners. So if we're what I'm showing here is that your opposite, whatever foot is leading, the opposite arm is going to go up. And then when you bring one foot up, you switch hands. I think I later demonstrate in here that if you are a little uncoordinated, you can just leave both arms up and just move accordingly. And you'll see that probably down maybe the other rounds if I don't show it here. The video was actually showing left arm, right arm to help with the coordination. And then the last one is going to be reverse flies. The biggest thing about this is I want that back parallel to the floor, okay? And it does not move. So try not to jerk it up and down and fly like a bird. And in the later rounds, I kind of demonstrate what I don't want. You can't really hear me on those, but I want you to be able to kind of play your music and not have to listen to me the entire time. So make sure that you're flying up, your back is straight to the crown of your head, you're shifting your weight back on your heels, and Meg shows a great side example here. and we're flying up and goes up to the height of our shoulders. So that's considered round one. So now we'll take it forward and do all those at the same time, and let's keep up the good work. Here we go. Voila! And that is completion. All right. Should feel it in the upper back, should feel it in the legs. Some good stuff. All right. Now what you're going to do is we're going to end with what we call active rest. If you have like a soft pad or something that you can place your knee on to help support, that would be wonderful. As you can see, I'm kneeling here. It's going to be a half kneeling. And you want to try to keep 90-90 within the hips and in the knee, as you can see the side profile with Meg. Okay, tall, nice, tall spine, and make sure your rear glute is on. Core is working at the same time. And when I say working at the same time, you want to stay upright. You're going to take one hand, put it on the opposite of the forward knee, and you're just going to rotate. And you're shooting for, what I'm showing here is 5 breaths. Nice and controlled. Not quick, nice and controlled. Calm it down. You're trying to bring everything down to normal status and allowing the stretch to aid you as opposed to hinder you if you're holding your breath. You're not getting any benefit out of that. So you're breathing into it and you're reaching. The idea here is to reach with the opposite hands, reaching with each hand. So as one hand goes on the outside of the knee, okay, the other hand is reaching. So they're both reaching apart. So the wider that you can get, the better stretch you're going to get and the more rotation you're going to get. We just got done doing a lot of upper body. So what we want to do is we want to loosen that upper body with a lot of rotation. You're staying tall through the spine, making sure your butt is on, making sure that front glute and hamstring is on at the same time. We're breathing into the stretch. Breathing into the stretch. And that's the objective. Next, we have another stretch in a half kneeling. Basically, we're going to grab our wrist and we're going to pull ourselves down to the knee upside. The thing about this is that we want to make sure that we keep the head, the ears, and the shoulders on the same line and not rotate. You can get a stretch out of rotation, but we're trying to get more bang for our buck. So the more that you're able to pull directly to the side and not rotate, the more stretch area that we can cover. And making sure you're nice and tall, making sure that rear butt muscle is on, and we shift. And you can see that there's a little shift in the lower portion of the body as well when you're trying to achieve this, and you're trying to pull down with that. In this particular case, I'm pulling down with my left arm to get a good stretch. Other side. Same thing. You're going to grab your wrist with the other hand, and you're going to pull over directly to the side. Again, ears, shoulders on the same plane. And you can feel this in the lat muscle, in the armpit muscle, back of the arm, all the way down to your hip. Some people even feel it in the quad. So as much as you can tolerate and as much as the body can tolerate, go ahead and stretch that area as best you can. 5 breaths in and out, nice and controlled, taking your time. We're going to switch back over to half kneeling, and we're going to do what we call a reverse reach, rotational reach, but it's kind of like what we did in the beginning, but this time what we're going to do is we're going to reach up and over. So the knee that is up, that same side hand, will rotate to the ankle or the knee or the calf muscle, wherever you're capable of doing, what the body will allow. And the top arm is going to reach up and over at an angle. That is the objective. Up and over at an angle. And it's a different type of rotation. Trying again, just a little bit more bang for buck, getting a little bit more of the upper back, opposite of the back too at the same time. So the key thing about this is that you want to have intent with the hand. So intent means I am trying to reach to my heel or my calf muscle with one hand. And I'm taking the other hand and I'm reaching up and over. So the more I reach, the more stretch that I accomplish. And as I'm pointing in here, you are trying to get as much as you can. I'm a little bit more flexible on this side, so you can see that there's a little bit of a rotational hip shift too, which is totally acceptable. Again, I'm trying to achieve as much as I can. 5 breaths, nice and controlled, in and out. And then unwind. Now the next one is a little tricky based on people's torso height, based on their leg length, based on their arm length. So you're going to move the knee out to the side, and you're going to take the opposite hand, and you're going to hook on the outside of the knee. Now the knee is actually going to push out as you hook with one wrist, and you're going to push in the opposite direction of the shoulder. So if I am reaching with my right hand, I'm going to push back with my right shoulder in opposites. And I'm shooting for the back of the shoulder, upper back area, the trap area. And you can get, if you get the lat muscle, awesome. But we just got done working our upper body, our upper torso. So in particular, that rear delt, top of the shoulders as well. And we want to make sure that we kind of stretch that area out. So this one's a really good one. The difficulty about this one, though, as I mentioned before, it is difficult to try to find it. You got to kind of play with it. As you see, when I switch to the other side, I'm actually going down a little bit further and keeping my head at neutral. And when I go down a little bit further, then I can get a little bit more of the lat, and I'm also getting the back of that shoulder. Again, what did we just got done beating up is that upper back, and that's where we're doing a lot of rotations, is to loosen that area up. Take that stretch, 5 breath in, 5 breath out, nice and controlled. And if you need more breaths, go by all means. I encourage that quite a bit. We will end with a kneeling, and you can be up or you can sitting down, whatever is comfortable for you. And we're going to work the neck because we are still utilizing a stretch within the neck area when we are doing dumbbell work, and sometimes people overuse the neck. So we want to make sure that we have a nice little straight line, same level, ear and shoulders on the same line, stretching that neck. It doesn't have to be as intense. It just needs to be a nice pull. Now I'm going to reach with my fingertips, and I'm going to pull up, over and out, not down. You don't want to compress the spine. You want to push up and over. And the key to this too is that making sure that the shoulder doesn't go over with you on the pull. Okay? And again, I'm pulling up and out, or excuse me, not over. I'm pulling over, not compressing the spine. I release that side, and I do another side bend on the other side. And again, intensity doesn't have to be that line. Don't rotate with your head. Try to keep the ear and the shoulder on the same line. Cup your fingertips around the top of your head, and then you're pulling outward, not down. Again, no compression of the spine. And you're trying to keep that opposite shoulder from hiking up too, so that will give you a little bit better stretch to the scaling muscles in there. Any other neck muscles that you have, getting into the trap areas as well. Now what we're going to do, this one's a little bit trickier. It's kind of a rotation, it's a forward bend, and then there's a side bend. You got to kind of play with it a little bit, but I'm shooting for that area as I pointed out right there, and an angle of the back of the neck. Particularly levator, if you know where your levator muscles are, that's what I'm shooting for. Trying to hit that area, and it's on an angle. And again, the key thing here is that the shoulder stays stationary. And that, again, taking the fingertips, and you're pulling kind of an outward angle. And if you can see what Meg's doing, and you can see what I'm doing, you can see that we're range of motion in the necks are a little different. So, again, rotate, point down, and then side bend. Again, you got to kind of play with it a little bit. Everybody's a little different. Some people have longer necks, some people have shorter necks, and you're just trying to find that angle, that lines with the shoulder. If you need to grab onto your shin, you can do that. You grab onto your ankle, you can do that as an anchor. That always helps if you're a little bit more mobile, or if you're just still need a little bit of grip and you feel like your opposite shoulder is popping up. This is 5 breaths, same time, both up and down, and then you slowly release. So we want to thank you again, Meghan, for allowing us to use her space. We're a collaboration between the two businesses, Training to Balance and Flow Lab. And I'm Augie, and this is Meg, and we'll see you next time.